What's up, guys, and welcome back to Tim Talks, the real estate show where we talk about real estate, life, and a little bit of everything else. Let's hit that intro music. Welcome back to another episode. Thank you so much for joining us. And today I am here with a very special guest, Ryan Mendenhall. And Ryan is very near and dear to my heart because he is somebody who actually got my real estate career off the ground. He was my first client, my literal day one. I owe Ryan everything. No, it was really a wonderful experience getting to work with Ryan. Ryan is a staff accountant. And what's the company again?
I'm at DeLap LLP. Right. It's out in Lake Oswego. Yeah, okay. So I'm a staff tax accountant out there. Been doing that for about a year now.
Awesome. Yeah, he's very, very good at what he does. And usually I have people in here to talk about their career because it's usually some kind of entrepreneurial endeavor. But in this case, I'm actually bringing Ryan in to talk a little bit about his experience buying a house, because that is something that he recently did, as we just mentioned. And last week I brought in Heidi, our cameraman Ethan's wife, to talk about somebody who is thinking about getting into a home in the near future. But today I'm going to bring in Ryan, and he's going to talk about his experience. So Ryan, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yes, thank you so much. So Ryan, you just recently went through this process. We started back. I think we met for coffee in November, and you got the keys the first week of February.
Yes, it was very, very quick process.
Very quick turnover. Yeah, we found the place pretty quickly.
Yeah, Tim's good at what he does.
Thank you. So it was a quick process, and so everything was moving real fast. But I'm guessing it's still pretty fresh in your mind.
Yeah.
So let's just get right into things.
Sure.
What was your greatest fear going into this process?
Yeah, I think my greatest fear is that I just didn't have enough. There's always that mindset of like lack that you always have. So I kind of had that fear going into this. So I was scared that I wasn't going to have enough down payment, wasn't going to have a good enough credit score, wasn't going to have all that. And so I was, it's intimidating because, you're pretty young. I'm 21, or I was 21 at the time. I'm 22 now. But I was very scared that it just wouldn't work out,
Yeah.
It's a big thing that you usually do a lot later on in life.
Yeah.
But as me and Tim kind of sat down, I really just needed someone to talk me through the possibilities, right?
Yeah.
I had done my due diligence. I had done my homework. I had done my savings. I had put myself in a good position. But there's so much unknown that you just don't know going into the home buying process because you've never done it before.
Right.
And so I needed someone on my side to help kind of come in and just like take that away a little bit. And so Tim was really great at that. A little bit of background about me. I worked construction growing up, so I was saving a lot, getting a lot of money that I was putting aside so that way I could buy a house. And that's been my goal for a really long time. But like I said, I just had no clue what that really took. I just knew that there was a down payment.
Yeah.
I knew that you got to do good on your credit score, and I knew you had to have a job. And so I was a little bit scared that I didn't have enough of all those things because I didn't have very much experience in my work yet. And so I wanted to make sure that was locked in too. But just sat down with Tim and we had coffee, and he just talked me through a lot of that stuff to start. And then just kind of led me every step of the way through it, and it worked out really well.
Yeah, that's awesome. This infomercial was brought to you. No, thank you. No, I appreciate you're hyping me up, man. Making me pump me up right now.
It was genuine feelings for sure.
No, I really appreciate that. And actually, so some of the things you were mentioning there were actually follow-up questions I was going to have, is because, like you said, you're 22 years old right now.
Mm-hmm.
You were 21 when you bought.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. You were barely legal to drink.
Yeah.
And you were stepping into your first house.
Sure.
There's a lot of people that would look at that and say, daddy's money. But that was not the case. You had been saving for a few years,
sure,
and you had prepared yourself. And at the end of the day, it wasn't it wasn't like you had to have $100,000 saved up for down payment. That's what we talked about last week with Heidi. Heidi was worried that, you might have to have 20% for the house, and without getting into your confidential details, which we don't want to do on this show.
Sure.
That's not what you had to do. You didn't have to do that, and you were really well set up by the lender that you worked with.
Yep.
And really he put together the pieces that you had spent a lot of time working hard at.
Yeah.
And you just had those lined up and ready to go. And at the end of the day, like, I like what you said about there's a lot of uncertainty around it. But the fact that you were thinking about those things and that you knew, let's pause for a second, because Ryan, you spoiled me for other clients, because this man came to the table with everything laid out, and he had done his research. He was prepared. I mean, he had a spreadsheet for every possible cost that you could imagine when buying a house. And I'm not saying for everyone out there that is necessary to do. You don't have to do that, but he was prepared. He had put in the work. He had worked hard to, get his funds together. He'd worked hard to get his credit score up. And he had a really well-paying job, and so putting in that work and then organizing himself made my job really easy. Even if you're not in that position right now, it is a good reminder that start working on it, because Ryan's 21. And I guarantee you, I mean, maybe you're kind of crazy with some of this stuff, but I was going to say, at 14, you probably weren't. Maybe.
This has been a long goal.
Okay. So
it was around 14 or 15 that I started, but I didn't know what it entailed in terms of all this, but it was really just saving money, setting it aside. But
but at 14,
grows.
At 14 or 15 though, you weren't making $60K a year, right?
Absolutely.
So you were making less money, but so if there's somebody else on the other end of the line that's making that $60K now and is able to put aside a little bit more, maybe they're gonna, it's not gonna take them 7 or 8 years to save up, but they just follow the same path that you did. I think that's really really cool.
It's a journey, man. It's I saved up for a really long time. It took a lot of sacrifice to get there, but I had a lot of opportunities presented to me along the way that helped it all work out, and it was great. I'm very blessed by that, but. It was a really good experience, and I would definitely say do your homework. Trust in your real estate agent. They're your friend. They want to help you. They're there to help you. But if you're not doing your own research and your own homework, you're not going to know what questions to ask them, and you're not going to know what to look at, and you're not going to know different ways that it could go wrong, because real estate transactions do go wrong, and it's not something that you want for yourself. Yeah,
no, absolutely. I love what you just said, because that was like a nugget right there. Trust in the professional that you have hired, right? Absolutely. But that doesn't mean that you can't sit there in the back and go, wait a second, I don't understand what's going on. Why are we doing this instead of that?
Sure.
Because truth be told, there are sometimes things that real estate agents have been doing for 30 years. And then Ryan comes along and goes, hey, why did we do that? And then that real estate agent goes, that's a really great point, right? Now, most of the time it's just, let me clarify why we did this. But he's absolutely right. Do your research, come prepared with questions. You don't have to be an expert in the business. No one is asking you to do that. At the end of the day, if you're not walking away learning something, then you're basically just walking blindly into buying a house, which is never a good idea. So,
Sure.
Yeah. That kind of leads me into my second question, because you were talking about something you worked for a very long time.
Sure.
So can you tell me what the most rewarding thing for you was walking into your new house? Not just opening the door physically, but what's the most rewarding thing you found so far about homeownership?
I think the most rewarding thing is just the security. It's stable. You know that every month you're putting money towards your mortgage, but that's not money gone to waste. That's getting you 5 to 8% in the market, and that's a good investment. And also the security just in your day-to-day life of knowing that I have a place to stay. I'm not gonna get evicted. I'm not gonna have issues, in terms of my where I live, my humble abode. And so I think that's really great, and that sets me up to do more in life in terms of my other goals. This is a platform for me to jump to other my other goals. It is a big responsibility, and there are a lot of things that go with it, but it is really rewarding because it allows me to do a lot. more in my life because of that, in terms of getting married, in terms of having a family down the road. I'm setting myself up for those next goals with this real estate transaction, which is kind of weird because it's very material, but it's allowing me to access a lot of my non-material goals after it, which has been really great. So I would say that's probably the most rewarding part outside of just having a goal for 7 years or whatever and achieving it. Just in and of itself, that's something that's really fun. So I would say it's definitely a cool experience. But
yeah. That is awesome. I promise, guys, I didn't coach him up before he got in here. I did give him a couple questions that we talked about, but no, these are genuine responses, which I really appreciate because it's what I've been trying to tell people. This is something that they'll experience.
Yeah.
Like you said, that security, the responsibility, which is, it's a responsibility. You have to take care of it. You have to take care of it yourself. But that in and of itself is rewarding. Like, I own this. I'm responsible for it.
Sure.
It's like having a child before you have a child, right?
Yeah.
Like you care and you love for it and you take care of it, right?
Absolutely.
It's part of the deal. Also, this man just got engaged. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can't wait for your fiance and soon to be wife to get into the house. That's going to be awesome.
Yes, that'll be great.
Yeah, live together in the house. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah. I'll also say it's nice to it's very rewarding. I've been doing what some people know as home hacking, where you buy a home, you move into it, and you get to rent it out to people, but also live there. It's one of the best ways you can succeed in real estate. You're not just matching your mortgage. You get to utilize the utility of the house while also getting some cash on the side, which is great.
Exactly.
And so I would say that's super rewarding as well, because you have the opportunity to give people some good deals on rent. And there's a lot of people out there who are looking for places and need a good opportunity in a good living situation. And so I've been able to bless some people with, a fair deal for rent.
Oh yeah, more than fair. Yeah.
Not taking them for a ride or anything and just hosing them, but giving them the opportunity to, maybe do the same thing where they get a good deal on rent, and maybe they can save some more money and start thinking about their goals and maybe buying a house or something like that.
Yeah.
And so it's been a blessing to do that as well.
I really like what you just said about not just house hacking, because we've talked about house hacking on this show before, and now you're actually getting to see somebody who's doing it in real life. And it's working for you, and it's not crazy,
right?
And you haven't found psychos. No one's murdered anyone yet.
No,
so.
no, not at all.
It's been solid so far.
Not at all.
And because of that, you are able to essentially rent from yourself for very inexpensive.
Yeah.
The average rent in Newburgh for a full house right now is over $2,400, and for the individual, it's over $1,000. So, without going again into confidential details, I will tell you guys, he's well under that, and that's amazing. And he's able to pay a fair amount of his mortgage, like the majority of it, with that. Yeah. But yeah, that idea of paying it forward almost in a sense is really cool. And I think that's one of the things that excites me most. And what I've been trying to spread this message of is make your life better for yourself and the people you care about, and also open up opportunities for other people. I think that is really cool. I'm currently doing what Ryan's doing, and it's totally working for me as well. But one thing that I've talked to, and some people say this is not a great idea, don't have your retirement in an asset. You never know what's going to happen. That's very true. But obviously saving your 401k.
Yes.
But you can use property as something that you fall back on when you are ready to retire. The way I thought about it is, if in the next 10 to 15, maybe even 20 years, I can go through the process and have 4 to 5 houses in my possession at the end. And I can house hack, eventually save up funds to buy an investment property.
Sure.
If I can just do that, and I can have 4 to 5 houses, and I can just hold on to them, not sell any of them, and pay off the 30-year mortgage and have that house that's all mine by the time I'm 60. Because think about it, if, it's a 30-year mortgage. So if I'm 23 right now, if I had 5 houses by the time I was 35, I get to 65, those are all paid off. Or, even if I was 60, they're almost all paid off.
Right.
And I sell those houses. Let's say each house has, let's say the market doesn't go up at all, which it will. and let's say each house was worth today's value of $500,000.
Sure.
And I sell 4 out of my 5 houses.
Mm-hmm.
I have $2 million.
It's a lot.
Obviously, you got to pay taxes and stuff.
It's a good chunk of change.
Yeah, that $2 million.
Yeah.
So survive on. Absolutely. Take me to the Bahamas, man.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So last question for you. What is one piece of advice that if you could go back to your former self right before you started this process, what would you tell yourself?
There's probably a couple things that I would say to my old self a couple months ago. Not downplay the amount of cash you have on hand for this transaction. It's a very cash intensive investment.
Yeah.
The down payment, and also there's just a lot of costs that come afterwards.
Closing
right?
costs.
There's closing costs. There's also setting up your house. Right?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes.
So I definitely say don't underestimate that. It was very hard for me. Like I said, I had a lot of contingency plans that I planned out, but also I hadn't started my job when I bought the house, which was kind of a crazy thing because, I was doing roofing in between. I was doing all these side gigs and stuff for summer, and I had saved up a lot of cash. I knew I was going to have a consistent income stream. Accounting is very, very stable. It's fine. The lenders all know that. So that's why I could get approved. I hadn't started my job though when we closed, which was so crazy. And so it was like figuring out what my income was going to be, doing those projections. So in that way, I did have to plan a lot more. And so I didn't know how much cost I was going to have. So that was why I guess I would say to myself, hey, maybe wait. Well, I didn't want to wait, but make sure you have, enough cash. And I did, and everything worked out fine. But it's going to be tight for a while.
You were cutting your teeth for a while.
Yeah, it's going to be tight for a while, and that's just how it's going to be with most of the real estate transactions especially on your first home.
Yeah.
You don't have that principal that you can carry over from selling one home to another home. So
Absolutely.
it's pretty big. But not to like scare you. Like everything will work out well. I had pretty lofty goals in terms of how much down payment I wanted to put.
Yes.
So that kind of leads into my other thing is maybe it's advice that I got through the process that I'm really glad I got.
Yes.
And so it's not necessarily stuff I would give back to myself. Like I would listen to this advice because I listened to it and it paid off big time. Like you don't have to put 20% down on the house.
Take that, Dave Ramsey.
You don't have to pay in all cash. You'll probably never be able to pay in all cash for your first transaction on a house. It's just not going to happen. You're going to be trying to outsave the market, which is like nearly impossible.
Yeah.
And so, our lender who we met with in the process said, okay, maybe save more cash than you expected on the side instead of putting it into the down payment, because that is stuff that you will need. You can always, listen to this. You can always put it back into the house, but you cannot take it out.
Exactly.
And so what he means there is you can always, increase your payments. You can pay more than your mortgage, whatever. You can put that 10 grand that you wanted to put into the down payment that you decided to set aside back into the house through your monthly payments. But you cannot take it out. If you put it in up front, you cannot take it out. And so obviously you have to have enough for the down payment and all that and make your rates and stuff, look good and all that. But I would listen to that advice. That was a good nugget that I got along the way. That probably saved me a good cushion that helped me, furnish my house. And then I would say one more piece of advice is that a home will not fix all your problems, believe it or not. So this is more of a personal level in terms of like, your soul, your personality, who you are. For me, I love to throw things into, goals, and I love the journey of getting there. But I also think that, hey, once I achieve this goal, everything's going to be fine.
Yeah.
All my problems, all my issues are going to be fine because I'm moving forward in life. And that's true. I mean, it's good to move forward in life. It's good to accomplish goals, but you still have to know that it is just a house at the end of the day, right? It is, it's not going to solve your relationships. It's not going to solve all these issues. You still have to deal with those up front. And so don't sacrifice everything in your life for your goals. Know what's important to you. and prioritize, and just know that attaining the goal is a good thing, but it's not going to fix all your problems.
I think that is absolutely true. And is it kind of, I guess it's kind of the real estate version of postpartum depression.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just a house at the end of the day.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. It opens a lot of doors, pun intended. I think it's a really wonderful opportunity and an outlet to having a better life.
Absolutely.
But it's not a solution.
Right.
It's a tool.
Right.
That can help other areas of your life. But I felt the same thing, because you think, once I get this, it's, my life's gonna be perfect. And it's like, no, I still have to get up every day and go to work.
Absolutely.
I still have to, take time to spend time with people that I love, right, and care about. It doesn't fix those problems. One thing I think that is really worth noting is, for me, I've always found that the fulfillment came from the journey, not the finish line, right? Mm-hmm. The finish line is awesome because that's what you're trying to get to, but you learn the most, you experience the most, you feel the most during the journey to get there.
Absolutely.
So I think probably looking back in the last, 8 years that took you to save up for this, you probably would look back on that with, and you probably learned and grew so much within yourself more than the moment you got handed the keys, right? Like Absolutely. All that growth that you had to go through to get to that point, that's what it's about. But yeah, I think it's about the journey to get there that is really special. And then back when to your first point about, your first point was about not necessarily rushing into it, taking your time. I really like what you said, because we actually, for Ryan, we were planning on April or May, I think it was.
Yeah.
We thought about April or May.
Right.
We got to December. December was when we offered.
Right.
Yeah.
So I sat down with coffee with Tim to just meet him for I knew Tim, we went to school together.
Yeah.
But we sat down and talked about this, opportunity that I might be going into in November. And then I told him straight up, I said, look, probably need to save a little bit more, and I'm not going to start my job till, January. So, I just want to talk because I know this is a process and it needs to get going, and I know it takes a while. And so I want to be ready by May. And then we started shifting the paradigm a little bit, and you started presenting me with opportunities and, concepts and thoughts. And so,
shifting the paradigm. Yeah. Wow.
You said, what if? What if you could get into a house by February? And I said, well, that would be pretty cool. Because
we talked about it kind of being a little bit slower in that November, December, January time period. Right. And it did actually, I think one of the things, at least I look back on, and sometimes I remind you about it, because sometimes I go, oh my God, it's that, thank God we did get that, because basically from February to June, when the market shift started to happen, from February to June, it was insane. You couldn't get your hands on anything.
Absolutely.
And you got in at this unbelievable interest rate.
Yes. Yeah.
And we actually got the house for
below asking.
Below asking.
Is unheard of during these times.
It was not expected.
Yeah.
But I think one thing that's important to take away from this as well, which is basically what you said, is do it at the right time.
Right.
Don't feel the need to rush. Don't feel the need to. So many people say they want to wait until like the market's going to crash or the interest rate's going to do this. Stop waiting for that. Take the opportunity when it arises.
Yeah.
Because if you don't do that, then you're going to pay for it on the back end. I guarantee you, if you do try to rush yourself, if you do try to wait until the perfect moment, that perfect moment's never going to come.
Those things wouldn't have happened if I wasn't open to listening to Tim and my mortgage broker as well, and just all the people in this process. So I would say, even though you got yourself to the goal, be humble and understand that like this is Tim's job. This is your real estate agent's job. Do your own homework and research, but like find someone that you trust, find someone who's willing to like put in the work for you, and then, let them do their job. And so Tim was huge in that. My mortgage broker was huge in that. They were both really good about, just presenting me with, hey, this is probably a really good time to get in. We don't know the future, but it's not going to hurt you to get in now. and it's looking like a good opportunity, don't be so caught up in the short term that you forget to look at the long term. And, you know, your decision on when to get in on real estate looks like a tiny little blip on the map when you put it on your whole scale of how long you're going to own that property. And so don't be petrified and by that fear of not being able to, or making a bad decision on timing, right?
Yes.
Right. If you're not ready, you're not ready. And that's one thing.
Right.
But like, in terms of trying to play the short game and like, I'm going to wait 2 months so that way my house is better. You're going to forget about that so soon because you're going to be living in a house that you love, and it's going to give you so much utility. And then also a long-term investment that's really good for you. So
yeah, you freaking men. I'm going to hire Ryan to come to my client meetings. This is awesome, man. Thank you so much. I love the experience that you shared. It's really cool to actually, because we haven't actually sat down and talked about this and to kind of recap, you know, now that you've been in the house for several months now, like this is awesome, man. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think everything that you just said, especially kind of in your little last closing bit there, was 100% true. Yeah. And I really hope that everyone out there was able to take last week's episode and kind of match it with this one, because you had a lot of the questions last week from Heidi, and then a lot of those answered by Ryan this week. So I really am hoping that this was a helpful and useful episode for you guys to be able to understand what you're going to feel before and what you're going to feel after. But thank you again so much, Ryan.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, you're the man. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for showing me every step of the way that you earned it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. All right, guys. We are going to take a quick break. We'll come back for Ashley's Corner. Welcome back, guys. We just spoke with Ryan Mendenhall about his home buying experience, and now we are back with our weekly segment of Ashley's Corner. Ashley's Corner! Yes. Welcome back, Ashley, my amazing co-host. And this week, we didn't plan anything.
You know, it's always just like what's going to happen this episode.
It is. It really is. I love that about this part because none of it's planned. Okay, so let's get to the good stuff. What are these paddles for here?
So we are going to be playing Never Have I Ever.
Okay, just kidding. I'm not going to make you wait on this crazy news.
Okay, thank you, because I was like, I'm sweating over here.
So when I walked into the office today, right before we started recording, I told Ashley and Ethan, I was like, I have something really crazy to tell you about. It's not good. And it's true. It's not good. And I don't even know if I should be talking about this on the podcast. Well, I'm going to have to see if we have to take this off later. But Ashley's dying in the corner right now.
I just don't know what this would pertain.
So I mean, I'm hyping it up too much. You're going to be like, oh, really? Okay.
Wow, Tim.
So was I in the office yesterday?
I wasn't in the office yesterday.
Oh my gosh. Was I in the You weren't in the office? Oh my gosh.
None of us can verify where your location was.
Dang it. I was supposed to be my dramatic entrance and you kind of ruined it. So
No, Tim was not here yesterday.
Yeah, right. I was not in the office yesterday. I'm going to tell you why I was not in the office yesterday. I was planning to be in the office yesterday, and I had an inspection in Portland. So I drove up to Portland. So I'm just gonna lay it all out there. I was in 2 car accidents yesterday.
2?
2.
2 for 1.
I have been driving for 8 years now, and I have never gotten into an accident. I have never gotten a speeding ticket. I have the cleanest driving record you'll ever see. I have 1 parking ticket from parking my car backwards, going against the flow of traffic. And I was in 2 car accidents yesterday.
Holy cow.
The first one, my car was okay, and I was able to continue driving. The one that occurred 3 hours later, it was not okay.
Oh, no.
So I thought when I got dropped off in front of the office today, that was going to be a dead giveaway. But probably no one saw that because you're kind of around the corner.
We're in the corners. Yeah. You know what I mean?
It's why we call it Ashley's Corner.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically what happened was, and we might have to take some of this out here for legal details. My lawyer may not want this to be on there. But basically what happened was the first one it wasn't an official accident. Okay. The first one was, I don't know why I did this. I trusted the backup cam on my car, leaving my driveway and backed straight into my friend's truck. Okay. I drive a Volkswagen Jetta, and this thing was a Toyota Tacoma. So he didn't have a scratch on his car.
Yeah.
My bumper popped out in the back, and the taillight was busted and fell off. I drove up to the inspection in Portland because this was on my way to the inspection in Portland. Got to the inspection. In the middle of the inspection, I came back, and my bumper was completely fine. It must have popped. I don't know how this happened. It looked kind of like a miracle. But Ashley's looking at me like I'm freaking crazy. I swear to God, I did not make this up. I did not make this up. I come back from the inspection, and so you could tell that it is still out of place because the bumper was kind of out of place. But like where the dent was, it had popped itself back out. I don't know how. So I'm sitting there going, this is a weird thing. You ever just have something happen in your day and you're like, it's going to get worse. My day is going to get worse today.
I try to think the opposite. Like,
yeah, I try to think the opposite.
Things can only get better from here.
I try to think the opposite too. But in this case, I just had this like feeling like today's going to be one of those days. And so I was like, you know what? This is fine. I got back into my car from the inspection. I was like, I'm going to just go on. I was going to go on home, but then my girlfriend works in Portland. And so I was like, perfect. I'll just go and hang out with her at her office. Maybe go get lunch with her. I had a haircut at like 1. So I was like, we'll just be in and out, and I'm going to go get my haircut. I go to see her. It's awesome. First time I've ever been to her workplace. It was great. But you guys know how those Portland streets are. After hearing this, we're going to have to take this out because after hearing this, clients are never going to get in the car with me ever again.
You let clients in your car?
Well, with their friends, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Let's just say I got to the light and my car was intact. And when I left the light, the car was no longer intact. So the front of the car is pretty wasted right now.
Holy
and
cow.
I'm okay. And
I was
so
going to say, are you okay? You're obviously here.
I'm fine, guys. Everything's okay. No, I'm totally fine. In fact, the tow truck came and he was like, dude, this is
I
like
bet your adrenaline was just pumping.
Oh, I got out of the car. I was like, woo! No, just
Ketosis.
Yeah. Ketosis, is that what you just said? Ketosis is the opposite. Ketosis is like
I don't know health terms.
No. Actually, it was really like it was a terrible moment, but the other driver was super cool. I was super cool. We were very friendly to each other. She introduced herself to me. I introduced myself to her. Like we had a little conversation. Like we talked for a little bit. Her car was actually okay. Mm. She had a nice bump, but my car seems to just take the brunt of the damage these days. This is a horrible ad for Volkswagens, but yeah, my car had to be towed. Hers was fine, so she was able to drive, but mine was, I thought was okay, and then I tried to drive it like 5 more feet down the road, and it was like, the steering wheel's turning and nothing is actually moving. So I just pulled right back off to the side of the road. Tow truck came. There was somebody who I think was having a mental health crisis that was verbally assaulting me on the side of the road, and I nearly got into a fight with them, but then I was like, I'm just gonna like not let this happen right now. It was a very stressful moment. Yeah, the tow truck came, they towed the car. I have very good insurance.
Well, that's why we have insurance, guys.
We have insurance.
This is why we have insurance.
Thankfully, yeah, everything's gonna be covered. It's gonna be fine. We'll be okay. I have a very small deductible. Life is good besides the fact that I'm going to have to borrow my dad's truck for the next couple of weeks while it's in the shop. But yeah, that's why I wasn't in the office yesterday. Some pretty entertaining and wild stuff. Really funny though. The tow truck guy, what's the word for tow truck guy? Is it just a tow truck driver?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tow truck guy. Driver.
Dude. He towed it to the repair shop. Because we already got it set up, and as he's pulling it off the truck, he gets out of the car, and I see he's got something in his hand, and I carry my business cards on the side of my driver's side, and he goes, "I'm gonna keep one of these because I want to buy a house." I'm like, oh, God has mysterious ways of working.
I was gonna say.
I'm like, you know what? Just catch me turning into head-on traffic.
Can we take your trip?
Who's next? Yeah. So anyway, that's my crazy news. On a scale of 1 to 10, how did that live up to the hype I gave it?
I would say like a 7.
Okay,
Like,
that's awesome. I'll take that.
Because I was like, where could this go? I'm like, am I getting kicked off the show?
Oh yeah, that would be a 10.
And he wants to do it on the show, cancel me like that. I'm like,
Cancel
is
you
he
on the
sick? Is your dog's okay? Car accident?
Did you think about car accident?
I did.
Okay.
But I was like,
But 2, now I feel like Ricky Bobby from Talladega Nights. I can't get into a car.
it takes a while.
Yeah.
And honestly, like just getting
Yeah.
back into the car and wanting to drive just takes a lot of like oomph. Because
Yeah.
I also like I got into a car accident that I caused.
Hey, how
yeah.
much did your insurance go up?
I had to get a whole new insurance. I had to go to a different company.
Are you
They didn't want me
serious?
anymore.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not joking.
That is terrible.
It is terrible. And it was my favorite car. It was a Honda CRV.
Oh, when was this?
This was like almost 2 years ago.
Okay.
And so it sucked because my car. But luckily I had the insurance.
Yeah.
And I got a rental car, and it was really nice. It was like a Mazda 2021.
Yeah.
And then I ended up getting the Mazda I have now, but
Nice.
she was totaled. There was no coming back.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, I get in the car. I'm like, I'm on fire. Ricky Bobby. I'm on fire. Help me. Help me, Tom Cruise. Help me, Oprah Winfrey. Yeah. So anyway, I don't really know how to move on from that, but
So
maybe that's where we cut Ashley's corner for the
yeah, I
day.
was gonna say,
Okay, so just tell us, because since we're running out of time, what are we gonna hit next week? What's going on
next week? We will play Never Have I Ever on Ashley's Corner, and one of the questions was gonna be if
You ever been in a car accident?
but we'll scrap that question.
Okay, we're gonna do a little special segment where we fire the co-host. Just kidding. Yeah,
No, that's Tim Talk After Hours.
that's true. Welcome to the behind the scenes of behind the scenes. Sorry. Okay, so Never Have I Ever. That's gonna be fun. So everyone should tune in for that.
And I think we will also have a spinning wheel in here.
And because we're picking a winner
Yeah.
for anyone who commented. Okay, awesome. So we're gonna have that. Before we go, just gonna spring this on you right now. Word of the day. Hit me.
Word of the day.
I just love to do this. What's the word of the day? Give me one
Car
word.
accident to word of the day.
Yeah. Just any word, like the first word that pops in your head.
Safety.
Safety. Thanks for watching another episode of Timmy Talks, guys. This was wonderful. Please go ahead and comment on YouTube. Drop us a like and a follow on YouTube. Follow on Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Go ahead and watch it on TikTok. Everything, you guys know the drill. Thanks so much for joining us this week, and we'll see you next week. Roll that outro music.